a very good afternoon to one and all. And this is a great opportunity. And I have seen some of the presentations, especially of Hari and Rajiv Sangal sir, Pradeep Kumar, and they are really excellent. So this is a wonderful work, I would say, this FDP which is happening online. And certainly PK Jain sir, who is director of NIT Patna, and Yogesh Singh and team is doing a marvelous job in in such a time when offline things cannot happen. This is a wonderful opportunity and excellent kind of presentation. So I would urge all of you and tell your friends, those who could not, due to one reason or other, could not see it online, they can always go now on YouTube and can have a look. Good. So to begin with, and NIT Patna is doing it. This is wonderful because Bihar has been, a source, ancient source of wisdom. And a lot of great personalities has emerged from there. So this is another coincidence, I would say. The ground rules for this today's workshop is that please be focused, participate, put your Q&A in message box or in between. I'll have breaks in between during the session, roughly after every 20-25 minutes. Give your feedback. About myself, I am an IIT Delhi graduate and I worked in corporate for around 25 years. Presently, while I'm presenting this in the capacity of a student of Madhyast Darshan, so this whole concept is bobbing around Madhyast Darshan, I would say, which is founded by Sri Ek Nagraj. You can always go on the website of jvidya.com. I have taken previously many offline workshops at NIT Surat, MNIT Jaipur, PIT Udaipur, organized by AICTE, and I've been taken FDP for UGC regional programs and been part of Value Education Program, which is popularly known as Happiness Curriculum at Delhi. This is just a snapshot of some of the workshops. Now, content for today. Okay, we'll talk about harmony in nature and existence. Yeah, why human being is not in harmony when the whole existence other than human being seems to be in harmony. So what is wrong there? How that can be possible? How we can restore it back, or rather restore it for the first time on this planet? And then we'll also talk about the power of knowledge. What distinguishes the human the rest of other creatures. Okay, so now let us get to the discussion of 4 orders in nature. Okay, so if we look at nature, and I'm sure this was presented by our Sanjeev Chopra in one of the session, I think session 5. So I will just touch upon in brief and we'll go into detail on the aspect which we are not, talked about that during that session. Okay, so if you look at just look at the whole nature and try to note down what is it that you see, like in the room where you are sitting right now, in your own room or your office or at home. You see a lot of material things. You see laptop, you see table, chair, washing machine, sofa. For example, I'm sitting in my home. Then if I look at outside my window, I see plants there. So that is what we are calling God's another order. Then you see animal beings, and you see yourself and your relatives or friends or colleagues. And so there is a human order. Now we are distinguishing it, yeah. And if you look at these arrows, you clearly see both arrows without any question marks. So physical order is in symbiotic relationship with the plant order and with the animal order, and they are also in symbiotic relationship, plant order and animal order. However, when you look at the human beings, okay, so plant order is in symbiotic relationship with human beings. Okay, it is providing oxygen, it is providing flora and fauna, it is providing food, vegetable, all resources. Animals are also in in symbiotic relationship, but while human beings, I have put question mark here. While we are interacting with soil, metal, water, we are destroying fertility of the soil. Okay, we are destroying groundwater level. We are polluting water. We are we have created air pollution. So what is happening is air pollution, water pollution, soil pollution. So while human being is interacting with the physical world, it is not being able to show a nurturing relationship with that. Same thing is while we are interacting with plants and trees or the plant order. There again, what we have done, we have cut, left and right. The whole lot of forests have been cut by the human beings. Similarly with the animal orders, okay, we have, a lot of species have become extinct, and then we are facing trouble because we thought probably these animals are not needed for, on the planet, but that's not the case. Now the studies show that wild animals are required for maintaining a forest. Okay, they have their own role to play in it, and if you remove them, then it becomes a problem. So very clearly we can see that this is a requirement. Okay, now if we see, on the other hand, human beings are the most evolved species on this planet. Some people do question while we have offline workshop that how can you say that this is the most evolved species while it is exhibiting chaos or creating problem and everywhere else. Now why I say that this is a most evolved species is because one of the reason or one of the characteristics of a evolved species is that it can manipulate and control other species. So human beings have been able to take control on animals, on plant order, or manipulate the material world. Okay, and that's why, of course, there are very positive aspects of it also, and there are negative aspects. So we have to take care of. It's not that we have only created problems. Okay, we have done certain good things as well. Okay, like this telecommunication which is happening. So this shows our control on material part. Okay, we have developed those chips, from silica. We have made N and P junctions, diode, triodes, and which could have, facilitate this kind of communication network. So, but we have also created troubles. Okay, and so we are evolved species. It has never happened that a lion has kept few people under its custody. It is only human beings we could tame the animal world. So that way it shows our capacity, but the manifestation is not totally in line with our capacities. So as we discussed, there are 4 orders: material order, plant order, animal order, and human order. First 3 orders are in mutual harmony with each other and exist in mutually enriching relationship. However, human beings, the good thing about human being is that we also desire to live in mutually enriching relationship with each other and with nature. Okay. Now, as in these 3 orders, this comes by default. We need not keep classes for material world, plant, or animals. Okay. However, in human beings, it comes through knowledge. Unless human beings become knowledgeable, they are not in a position to exhibit the mutually enriching relationship with these 3 orders. And that's why human beings becomes an entirely different category. Okay, and that's what we are calling a human order or Gyan Avastha. So Gyan is needed, knowledge is needed for this entity to be in mutually enriching relationship with the all other units. Okay, so in human beings, harmony in the whole nature, if you look at, harmony is natural. Okay, not the conflict. In human beings, we see conflict, and the reason for that conflict we will talk about why it is happening. Okay, so what we are seeing, what we have talked about, that if you look at the nature, there is a inbuilt harmony. Human beings get in that harmony through knowledge. Okay, without that, human beings fail to exhibit harmony. So why human beings are not in harmony? We are in conflict. Why? Because we carry certain beliefs, we carry the map of the whole existence, which is not in line with the reality. Okay, so we have many unverified beliefs, we have many assumptions, as I mentioned the session 5 of Hari, we are saying fair and lovely, okay, or if we will be, wear the Raymond clothing, we will become the complete man. And similarly, many other, Manyavar read or Unche Log, Unchi Pasand, which he has mentioned, so chewing tobacco cannot, will make you a person with dignity or dignified person. So such kind of assumptions which are prevalent in the society, which beliefs which we have not verified ourselves, they result in conflict because our inner self is seeking harmony. So something which is naturally acceptable to us and something what is being proposed in the society, there is a conflict, okay, which we fail to resolve. And that's what is one of the major exercise of education, okay, to resolve inner and outer conflict. And the good news is that every outer conflict is a result of an inner conflict in some way or the other. So if we can resolve the inner conflict, or if we can create inner harmony, our outer harmony will be an outcome of the inner harmony. So the why I say it is a good thing, because the inner harmony is within us. It is in our control. We can take charge of it. However, for the outer harmony, we are dependent on others or the situations around. So the good news is that inner harmony results into the outer harmony, okay, and that is the excellent news. Now, what is the causes of conflict? Okay, if you look at the causes of conflict, it is mainly ignorance, or as I said, unfounded beliefs or unverified assumptions or the wrong information which we have not put into a logic, we have not checked it on the logic, or we haven't done an observation enough to verify it, okay. So ignorance is the cause of conflict. However, we have been, reading earlier that ignorance is bliss. This is not correct. Ignorance is never bliss. Ignorance is the cause of conflict. Okay, ignorance is trouble. Ignorance is the problem. Okay, and that's why we have education. Because had ignorance been bliss, why do we have educational institutes? You don't need, because there's no need to give training and education to human beings, because we don't want to create trouble to them by making them educated, okay, because many people have this misnomer, so I say knowledge is the source of bliss, okay, it is not the ignorance, it is the knowledge which is the source of bliss, source of happiness, source of contentment. Because when I talk to people, at times they say knowledgeable people are in trouble and those who are ignorant, they are enjoying. Okay, if you have such an observation, it means, I will say, just reverse it. Those who are in trouble, they are not knowledgeable. Okay, they may be having a lot of information, but not knowledgeable. Okay, and we will see, we have already discussed, or if will time permit, we'll discuss knowledge. Information is not knowledge. So having information is, so the knowledge, the manifestation of soul manifestation of knowledge is happiness, peace. Okay, so let us talk about what is the power of knowledge. One thing which happens with the knowledge is that you cannot make mistakes. If you are knowledgeable, you cannot make mistakes. You will not do things which are wrong. So, and that is the basic premises. So what we are saying is, if we can make students know what is right, what is wrong, they will not make mistakes. And this also takes us to another question, how to define right and wrong, because we educated people now, a lot of us feel there is nothing right, nothing wrong. However, what we are proposing here, there are universal rights and wrongs, okay? And that's the basis of all universal human values. We need to, analyze it, take this as a proposal. I'll put like, say, respect. Okay, this is a universally right thing. Not to abuse is not right, it is wrong. To insult is wrong. Okay, similarly, to break someone's trust is wrong. Okay, to be angry is wrong. Okay, to make error, like I have written another, to err is, because we have used this very commonly, to err is human. However, what I'm saying is, to err is not human. Okay, we make errors inadvertently, unknowingly, out of ignorance, and we feel bad about it. And that's why every human being wants to correct their errors. Okay, we want to become error free. So to do the right thing is human. Okay, not to err is human. Okay, similarly, to be angry is not human. Okay, to be affectionate, to be at peace, to be at harmony, to be in symbiotic relationship, mutually enriching relationship is human. Okay, though we may be feeling angry most of that, if we do survey, most of the people at one time or other feel anger. Okay, but then they want to get rid of it. You ask the same person, so it's not human, because had it been human, we wouldn't be desiring to get out of these. Okay, it is the knowledge which brings it out. Okay, to be helpful is human, to live in harmony is human, to support each other is human. So it's very important, because if we by mistake consider that to be angry is human or to make mistakes is human, then there is no scope for improvement. Okay. Another important part is that knowledge is not only for discussion. Okay. Knowledge is to live in harmony and create environment where others can live in harmony. This is very important. Okay. So knowledgeable person does not mean that he'll talk only about good things, but he fails to live in harmony within his own family. Okay, with his own spouse, with his own kids, with his own brothers and sisters, or with the environment at large. Knowledgeable person, one of the basic characteristic of a knowledgeable person is that he is a happy man. And as we say, that you can only distribute what you have. So a happy person can only, sort of make others happy, or he is a source of happiness for others. Okay, and that is the manifestation of a knowledgeable person. He has all the answers of why and how, and that is what is the meaning of being knowledgeable. Presently, we are exhibiting subhuman intelligence, so we have to move from SHI to HI. Today is the time culture where we are talking of artificial intelligence. Okay, and all artificial intelligence is subservient to a human intelligence, because the one who creates something, the creator is at a higher platform. That's why he has created it. So, but even with this subhuman intelligence, we have been able to create a lot of positive aspect, but we have to still move towards human consciousness or human intelligence. Now, some of the people do ask me, sir, what is the basis of you saying that we are yet not exhibiting human intelligence? Okay, so I'll pause here. I don't know whether Yogesh Bhai is available, or if someone else can read out queries which has been asked, or someone has put those now. Is Yogesh Bhai available? Is there someone who can read out those queries, if there are any? Okay, I can see. No, I can't see those, so no problem. So what I'll do, I'll continue then, because probably Yogesh Bhai is busy somewhere. Let me give him a call just to check out. I just had a talk with Yogesh Bhai, and he's busy somewhere, so we'll leave the Q&A section, and that we can cover maybe at some other time. So what I'm saying is, how do we know that we are not exhibiting human intelligence right now? Because to say that, let us see what is the manifestation of the intelligence levels which we possess today. What is it, how it is manifesting? So if you look at we see that there's a disharmony at the level of self, okay, and it is being exhibited in the form of anger, hatred, negative thoughts, self-destructive behaviors, okay, which shows that we are not yet there, because this is something which we no human being wants. We don't want to be at this place, at this juncture, but we are there with the kind of intelligence we have. We are still having the traces of anger, hatred, negative thoughts, self-destructive behavior. So, which means we have not yet evolved to a state which I called human intelligence, or the state where human beings feel at peace with themselves. Okay. Similarly, we also see disharmony at the level of family. Okay, and how it is being manifested: breaking of family structures. People are, I mean, I sometimes wonder when I talk to young generation, those who are at the age of around 25, 26, young students, those who have joined IT sector, earning well. I ask them, most of them are afraid of marriage, and so institution of marriage is at risk now. If you look at, there's a mistrust amongst, brothers, sisters, parents, and kids. Lack of affection, lack of gratitude. The old age is parents normally have a complaint that they have done so much for their kids, but they fail to see a kind of gratitude into their kids. Okay. And respect. Similarly, teachers, this is a very common complaint from teachers that the students don't respect them. So we are finding disharmony at the family or at the relationship level. Okay. Similarly, you can also see disharmony at the level of society. There's a increased unemployment, and of course, COVID has added to it. Racism, border disputes. Different countries are having a lot of border disputes. There's a lot of exploitation. So there are people, those who are working 8 to 10 hours a day, but they find it difficult to meet their daily requirements, their and their families' daily requirements. So, and on the other hand, there are people, those who are amassing huge amount of wealth. So what you see is that there is a disharmony at the level, because if you have to judge something, whether I am, as a human race, as a human society as a whole, whether we have reached to the human intelligence level or not, or we are exhibiting subhuman intelligence, we must has to judge it with certain desired outcome. Because if you don't have an objective, then it is very difficult to judge whether we have achieved that objective or not. So if you see it, you will find that this is not what we wanted to be in, the situation where we have reached. Okay. Similarly, if you look at the level of nature, you see pollution, you see ozone layer depletion, you see melting of ice, the polar ice is getting melted, groundwater table is receding, people say that the next world war may happen on groundwater. Then there's a global warming, temperature is rising, and it has its own issues. If you are in around Delhi or NCR or any other metros, you see the kind of air pollution levels which are unacceptable and much beyond the acceptable limits. So why I'm saying is, as you might have heard, that we have to move from animal consciousness to human consciousness. The subhuman intelligence or subhuman consciousness is what is being called about as animal consciousness. And then there are issues that how can you say that, and why we are saying is because we are not yet in a position where we want to reach. And that's why what will happen if we have human intelligence? How will it manifest? What would be its manifestation? So if you look at human intelligence would mean that there is a harmony at the level of self. Okay, we are, what does that mean? That we'll be a happy person, peaceful, contented, supportive individuals. Okay, so we'll be supporting each other, and there will be peace, there will be contentment, and contentment does not mean here that growth will stop, because many people have this, that's what I say, the inner conflict. We want to be contented and we want to grow. And many people say that if we will become contented, then how will we grow? And so my answer to them is always, that finally after growing, what is it that you want? Okay, and with all the growth, material growth or the growth in power, or with all kind of growth, what we are looking is finally happiness. We are looking for contentment. So, and in fact, you do much more, a contented person does much more effective contribution for himself, for the society, and for the family, and for the nature at large. So harmony at the self, if we can achieve that kind of intelligence is needed, and that's what I call a human intelligence. Okay. Similarly, harmony at the level of family, where people have mutual respect, affection, caring, love, gratitude, and participating in just production systems. That is what is the harmony at the level of family, where we say it's a prosperity. Along with happiness, it exhibits prosperity. Then if you look at harmony at the level of society, so we are looking for a society where there are opportunities. Everyone is having an opportunity to participate in production system. So we are saying that unemployment is gone. Everyone who wants to get employed, employment is available. Then another important aspect is justice in society, in valuing human effort or human labor. So one part is availability of employment. Another part is that if someone is employed in a just full employment, then his efforts are valued. So he gets the right kind of remuneration. As I said, this is the biggest problem now, that a farmer or a laborer who works 8 to 10 hours, but he doesn't get his remuneration is not justifiable to the kind of effort which he does. Then humane education to all. So what is the purpose of education? So we will one by one we'll go into that detailing as well. So the human education is basically two components. Okay, one is the skill part. Role of whole education is, one is the skill part, and another part of the education is to create that knowledge by which human beings can interact with the society or with the other human beings, where they can have these value-based interactions. Another important aspect is affordable and trustworthy healthcare system. Okay, now what is affordable and trustworthy healthcare system? Where everyone is assured if there are illnesses, then that will be, and the cure is available, then that will be taken care of. Presently, like even in COVID, in this situation, what we are finding is that if someone gets into trouble, whether he is being given the right kind of healthcare or not, whether the kind of prescription which is being given, handed over to the persons, whether that is really needed or not, or okay, so our Yogesh Bhai has come, but let me finish this slide and then we'll take the queries if there are any. And then the next is harmony at the level of nature. So what does it mean? Recognizing planet Earth as one ecosystem. This is very important, because what is happening now, we quite often feel that the Earth is not, we are not recognizing it as one ecosystem. So some of the developed countries feel that probably the polluting kind of work, can be outsourced, or it can be done in some other country. Okay, and so a lot of developing countries, the kind of which is the work which creates pollution is shifted to that, and we fail to understand that Earth is one planet, and if pollution is happening at any place, it is going to affect it, the whole ecosystem. So it doesn't happen that if you are polluting somewhere, the ozone layer will get depleted only of that zone. So we create these gases which are creating ozone layer depletion, and then the UV rays, ozone layer gets depleted in Sweden, where the zone where the UV rays come there, and then you have the effect of skin cancer there. So what is happening is, to recognize, there are two things which we must recognize. One is the earth as a whole is one ecosystem, and human beings, human society is a one individual whole. Okay, so it doesn't matter that someone is eating wild animals, and maybe you and me or most of us had no connection. We were not any stakeholder related to that. But if the COVID is happening because of that, human beings coming in contact with the wild animals, and that vector is getting transferred to the human beings, the whole humanity is getting affected. So slowly and slowly, in the age of this era, we are now realizing that we are one individual society. Not that we have become now that one individual society. We have been from the, the society has been always interconnected, but the effects of it is now becoming much more visible. Like when Edison, invented something, the benefit of it is available to us all. So that we have always been interconnected, but now with the availability of this internet connectivity movement, this has become much more clearer. And so it is very important to understand that there's a one individual society. Similarly, the earth is a one whole ecosystem, and we cannot create problems at some places or other and think that it is not going to affect us. Yogesh bhai, are there any queries? Then I'll prefer to take that, and then we'll move further.
Okay. There are few questions. Even if we have knowledge, sometimes it is hard to satisfy the heads and all the private organizations. Please clarify on this.
Excellent. So when you say that I have knowledge, what you are saying is you are having information. Okay, now we have to differentiate between information and knowledge. So when you say I have knowledge, or you may be right, but then what you are saying is I am finding it difficult to communicate to the head of the departments or the seniors or the bosses, and they don't listen to you. Now, so what happens if they don't listen? If you get irritated, if you get frustrated, if you feel negative emotions, that means you don't have that knowledge, because the part of the knowledge also means that you know that simply by telling others what is right and wrong, it will not get accepted. So that is also part of the knowledge, that how your knowledge will be transferred or translated into the acceptance by the others. So the knowledge will mean, okay, so here the knowledge would also mean understanding that every individual has their own imagination power as well as freedom to act. Okay, so every individual acts as per his understanding, his assumptions. Okay, so does not mean that if you say something which is right, and I'm not saying you are saying something wrong, if you know something which is right, okay, and if you tell others, and if you believe that the other person should accept it, then probably your knowledge is lacking in that domain. Okay, because the acceptance happens, you tell him the kind of bond which you have, whether he recognizes you as the right person or not. And so you have to also know how to make it happen. Okay, what are the different ways or means? Maybe you have to go through a different set of people. Like our kid doesn't listen, forget about bosses, our own kids, you are telling the right thing, but does it mean that first time you tell him don't do this, does he accept, especially when he gets grown up? It doesn't happen. So we have to understand how to make, how people accept, or how the acceptance from one's thought becomes to the other person. So I would say that part. So knowing is one thing, and how to implement or how to make it, acceptable by other, that knowledge is lacking. Yes, Yogesh bhai. Any other question, Yogesh bhai?
One small query: why plant order is
Any
called
other question?
Pranavastha? Yes, one small query: why plant order is called Pranavastha?
Please repeat again.
Why plant order is called Pranavastha?
Oh, excellent. Now, see this giving name, naming is done by human beings. Okay, we can give any other name, A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z, alpha, beta, gamma, delta. Okay, but here when we say pranavastha, it basically means that something which is respiration, which is having respiration. Okay, now that's what we are saying is the pran, because if you look at pran is related with the respiration process, and that's how this terminology has come, but we can give it some other name. But why we are saying animal is different than that? Because another principle is all the higher orders always have all the characteristics of the lower orders. So when you look at the plant will have all the characteristics of material, because basically plant is made of a material world, but they have, in addition, they have respiration. Okay, so they have a extra thing. If you look at the human animals, they also respire. Okay, their bodies are also, having this respiration process. Senses where they exhibit from one progeny to another progeny, they accept that, like a dog behaves like a dog, a cat behaves like a cat. Okay, so another thing which is happening is in the animals they have another thing where they, besides respiration, they have a faculty which we are calling a very minimal sense of imagine, a very part of it where they are using their senses to fulfill their bodily needs. Okay, so they are using their senses to fulfill bodily needs, which are basically food, I mean, the if you say it, ahar, nidra, bhaya, and mathun. So the food, and sleep, and protection of their body, which is manifested as fear. So if you push some animal, or if you threaten them, they will try to protect themselves. This is not seen in plant order, so this is an extra manifestation. And reproduction mechanism, okay, which is seen there as well in the plant order, but in a very limited sense. Here it is in much more advanced sense. So this way, or if you look at the human beings, they have all the characteristics of material world, plant world, and animal being, but human beings are not using their senses just to fulfill their bodily needs. And this is the defining difference between human beings and animals, that animals are using their senses to fulfill their bodily needs. Human beings are using their senses not just to fulfill their bodily needs, but for happiness, but for pleasure. So this is their basic defining feature. So that way, that why we are calling them, because plants as pran avastha, because pran means respiration in Hindi. So that is how, that is what is the reasoning. And why we are not calling human being as, though in the general sense it is being called that human being is a social animal, this is like they don't have that freedom there, but human beings have got freedom of choice, you know, freedom to act because they have got choices to make. Animals make choices as per their progeny, so that's why there is a limited sense which is done by the exhibited by the animals. We say Bansanusangita or hereditary. However, human beings show Sanskar Anusangita and they are based on as per their beliefs, as per their knowledge they act, and that's why human beings they have and that's why we are saying the defining characteristics for human beings is any other query, Yogesh bhai?
One small query. Why many knowledge persons cannot share their knowledge and experience?
Voice is breaking.
Okay.
Can you please repeat?
Why many knowledgeable persons cannot share their knowledge and experiences?
No, that what I mean, that is how the whole education is working. All knowledgeable persons have been sharing their knowledge, and that's how the whole thing works. So all sharing in human beings is happening. Sharing is what? Mainly, if you look at that, it is the sharing of knowledge. Example, Newton shared his knowledge about gravitation. Okay. Galileo shared his knowledge. Edison shared his knowledge. So if you look at the whole human, why human beings are progressing. If you look at an animal, you know, they used to, a bird used to make its nest, say 100 years or thousands years ago. It is making the similar nest, but our houses design have changed. We have moved on. Why? Because of the smell. So when you say why people are not being able to share their knowledge, this is not the right observation. People are sharing knowledge. First aeroplane, it took them, I mean, the whole human race, so many years, you know, but now we make aeroplane maybe every 15 days, or a car comes out of a fact maybe a few hours. So what is happening is that is why, because we have been able to translate that knowledge, we have been able to pass on the knowledge. That's why the whole education, we make engineers within 4 years, you know, because others, those who are or a PhD guy makes another person PhD. So that is how the whole system is. So knowledge is certainly getting transferred. Now your query probably is that it is a slow process. That's for sure, especially while we want to transfer the knowledge in the domain of living, you know, in the domain of why people, you know, can have, you know, a kind of a global citizenship, knowledge of how to live happily, because that is not yet available. So far, our ancestors has prescribed meditative techniques, okay, for change in consciousness, okay. However, meditative techniques have their own limitations. This is for the first time that we are saying through logical discussions, logical discourses, okay, we can make a person's change in their consciousness. So far, the availability was the planet, or the knowledge was we have to go through the process of meditative techniques. But now what we are saying is to make consciousness, go through the method of study or observation, where it can be transferred into a classroom, and that's why whole new design. That's why I say this Madhyas Darshan is a kind of a path breaking effort or path breaking research work done by Sri Nagaraj. where through logical framework we can bring a change into the consciousness level, and the result of that are getting manifested and are getting visible with the a small work which have been done so far. So good question, because apparently it looks like we want to, why not overnight it happens, so but it doesn't happen overnight. And even the Newton has found out those gravitational laws, but to send satellite, this telecommunication has taken a good, because the law is the same, the gravitation is the same, but to satellite, convert it into into an equipment, or make it available to the masses, generation of any knowledge or any research work, and this will also happen in due course of time. Yogesh bhai, any other query?
Okay. How to interpret knowledge for prosperity?
Once more, so that I'm sure that I have heard it right.
How to interpret knowledge for prosperity? This is the last question.
Excellent. So knowledge for prosperity means, see, the whole education is in two domains. Because as we said, human beings are made up of two things, body and self. Okay. When we say prosperity, we are talking of physical prosperity. Okay. However, I am sure while this topic must have discussed, prosperity, primarily prosperity is a mental construct as well, So having physical facilities and believing that you have got enough, that's why we coined three terms. I am not sure whether it has been done: poor, rich, and prosperous person. Okay. So poor person is the one who is having lack of resources, as well as physically having lack of resources and a feeling of having lack of resources. A rich person is the one who has enough physical resources, but in feeling he feels poverty. That's why he wants to have more and more and more. He doesn't feel that he has got enough. Prosperous person is the one who has enough resources and also has the feeling of having enough. Okay, so how knowledge helps in prosperity? So I will say if we are talking about prosperity physical sense, knowledge will get translated into the term called skills. Okay, so it is the skillfulness which is a subset of the knowledge. So like engineering, we are teaching, we are imparting that skill where a person can be useful, he can manufacture or be good enough to participate in production systems and can become prosperous in exchange of his resources. But to feel prosperity, as I rightly said, there are other systems which we ensure. So a just exchange system is a requirement for feeling of prosperity. If we have exploitative exchange system, then a guy works 10 to 12 hours and he doesn't get right kind of remuneration. And so if we have an exploitative system, then even a skillful people like carpentry is a skill, okay, and plumbing is a skill, but they don't get that kind of, or farming is certainly a skill. So a skillful people also don't get that prosperity, because if your exchange systems are not just, or your a lot and a small illness, he loses all his physical prosperity. So you need basic, that's what I'm saying. It is not, you cannot see things in isolation. So the whole gamut of whole systems, ecosystem for feeling, so you have to have education system, you have to have good exchange system, production system, healthcare system. Then only we can have a society where everyone is prosperous, happy, fearlessness and coexistence. Okay, Yogesh.
Okay.
Any other question?
So there are no more questions. We can continue for some time.
So I'll move on. I'll complete. Yeah, I'll complete. Excellent. So we were talking about manifestation of human intelligence. Yeah. So that is what I'm calling, human intelligence. Presently, we are exhibiting subhuman intelligence or animal consciousness. So while we will exhibit, human intelligence, then we will be able to have harmony at all these levels. And what will be the outcome of this human intelligence? The outcome will be happy, okay, prosperous families. So that's where the knowledge or human intelligence will translate into prosperity, or trustworthy or fearlessness in society, and coexistence in nature, where we will have mutually enriching natural exchanges, exchange with the plant world, exchange with the material world, exchange with the animal world, and exchange between the human to human being. And as if you remember correctly, the first session of Rajiv sir, the opening session where he says that these are our human goals. Okay, so human goals can only be fulfilled with the human level of intelligence. Okay, and that is how it will get manifested. If you look at another thing, the whole existence is basically in the form of coexistence. There is a complementary relationship in nature. There is a symbiotic relationship in nature. Human beings are evolving towards that. And the good news is that we human beings are in the process of evolving towards that. And the proof of evolved one lies not in exploiting the less evolved, but to nurture and to have sustainable development. This is very important because, as I said in the beginning, that human beings are evolved by design, okay, but by their manifestation, the proof of our evolvedness lies in nurturing others and not in exploiting. And what we are doing is we are exploiting right now all the other resources, which means that we are not yet evolved to our full potential. So the potential we have, okay, but we have to still evolve to that potential to establish ecosystem, eco-balance, social balance through happiness and prosperity of all for all times to come. That is what is our goal. And this is possible. See, the whole important part is that this is not an utopian goal. Okay, these goals are possible. Okay, and if we can dream, as our honorable President Abdul Kalam has said, if we can dream big, then we can achieve. What is happening is we have stopped dreaming. If you talk about that, happiness is possible, say, what are you saying? People will have conflict in society. If you have to grow, then you will create pollution necessarily. When I ask this question to many people, this is doesn't matter. We may be doing less pollution, but some amount of pollution will be required. Okay. We are unable to see that if the whole earth has got, a limited diameter, and if every generation does a small amount of pollution, after a while, the earth will not be in it. It will not be habitable. Okay, we will not be in a position to live on it. So it means that there has to be a possibility where, rather than creating pollution, we enriching it. We are, being a part of a symbiotic relationship. Then only it is possible to have. So what I'm saying, we are not dreaming high, or we are not even dreaming the kind of goals which we want to achieve. And unless we dream, obviously the achievement is not possible. Okay. As I said, source for all this has been based on a new philosophy and which holds new promises, which some people may feel that it may look utopian to begin with, but that's true with all kind of new research works. Like when someone said that human beings can fly, people said this is utopian, it's not possible, but now it's very, easily we are doing that. So what is, and to go to moon looked utopian at that point of time. Now we have sent at Mars also. So what is happening is that something which may look utopian, but if human beings desire it sincerely, and it is an existential desire that we want to live in harmony, we want to be, want to see a planet where no one is dying out of hunger and everyone is having, comfortable way of life, then it's possible. Okay, so only promise I would say, it is possible. We have to make effort and it will happen. We can dream rightly, then those dreams will come true. And since these dreams are a dream of every human being, okay, this is a dream which we have been holding from time immemorial, so it has to happen. Good. So I think now rest of the session is, we have around half an hour. It is predominantly for Q&A. So Yogesh bhai, the whole, to summarize what I have covered under this domain, understanding harmony in nature and existence, that nature is already in harmony. Okay, and human being will get in harmony through understanding. Presently we are at subhuman intelligence level. We have to move towards human intelligence, and that is possible through education. And since we all desire it, it is bound to happen.